Okay, so here's the results from yesterday. The mistakes I made, the corrections I'm gonna adjust for my strategies, because there's a lot of missed opportunities. So of course, there's a huge gap down, and this gap down was related to some news on the big techs being scrutinized or breaking up from the Republicans want to break up the big tech. So you got this huge gap down. And normally when you have a huge gap down, so a big gap down, um, you're gonna have to assume that that will be the trend for the day. So the trend, the big gap down, in this case, the direction is down, will be the trend for the day. So I'm gonna add this strategy. Say big gap equal trend for the day, because it's hard to see, but if you can say during the first candle, you know, you don't have a formation of a trend. So you say, what is the trend for the day? Because you don't want to counter trend. You want to follow the trend. You don't want to counter trend, but you don't have a trend yet. And especially from yesterday, this is a uptrend. Um, so you say, well, is this just a minor, if you're following this, you say, is this just a bottom or a minor dip and an adjustment of a new trend going for upward or continued upward trend? No, you can't say that. You're gonna have to assume a big gap down means there's a lot of front runners, a lot of investors, or a lot of hedge funds put a lot of investments to get this to gap down. There's a lot now. A small gap down might be a trap, and a lot of time, if there was a small gap down, initial front running, that's traps for the shorts. Big gap down, in this case, huge gap down. This is like 40, 50 points. Big gap down. You're gonna have to assume that is the trend for the day. In this case, of course, most of the time you have a big gap down. You can always buy for the initial profit taking and initial readjustments of just because this is just a huge gap down. But at this point, you should have bought the puts, and that would have been a very profitable trade, because look at that rundown. That rundown is pretty big. From this point all the way down to here. So let's look at potential loss opportunities that I did not get yesterday. So here, if I were to, you know, the open is 18 and the low is around 16. So had I put a price target anywhere, and even if I didn't get perfectly here, or let's just say 180, I would have target 3180, and even if it gone a little bit higher, that's okay, because is going to be further weakness, because a huge gap down is the trend for the day. And that's going to be the case 9 out of 10. So that would have been a huge, getting it at around 16 and a half to 17, all the way up here to 26. That's almost 10 points. So if you would have bought 5 puts, that's 5,000. That's most likely what I would have done, is bought 5 puts for 5,000. I also should have bought the calls at the very beginning. I could have bought the calls. So here is let me see, go to 3100. Yeah, let me see. Yeah, so maybe the 3150, this 3250. I'm sorry. That would have been 14, the very initial open. The open is 14, the low. Yeah, so buying it at the open and just scalping the very first 5 minutes seems like very short, but in the first minute, you can actually get this to be at around 14 for the open, 14 and a half if you're not lucky, and sold it at 19. That's almost 5 points. If you got 5 shares, that's 2,500. If you get four, that's 2,000. So very profitable trade. to always buy on the initial gap down, big gap down. It has to be a big gap down. And if I mean, how do you know it's a big gap down? Well, this is, I mean, 2%, whatever this is, all the way from the high from here. When it opened up, it was that 3160 or whatever it was. That's a huge gap. That's 40 points. So that's a huge gap down. Um, so would have gotten the initial run up or the initial bleep up for 2,000, and then get this puts right here for another 5,000. 7,000 missed opportunities. Those are the easiest to play, the best to play on these type of situation. Now I didn't get it because I carried a position from the previous day, expecting it gapped up, so that really messed up my whole mentality. I didn't like that at all, and I wasn't also thinking clearly. I mean, I need to formulate the strategy because I wasn't prepared for this big gap down. I should have thought it through and visualized my strategy well about this huge gap down. And so I got my notes here. Big gap down, they could trend for the day. And of course, I know the big gap down, the initial gap down, always having adjustments. And of course, you can see there's some initial, at this point, obvious to get this one for this run up. And then you got this continue at this point, not exactly to that line, but look at that, right at the 100-day moving average on the 15 minutes. So you could have gotten the reversal here to all the way down to this price level, 61.8 right here. So they took it. This is a price level. This is another huge missed opportunity. What would I would have gotten on that opportunity had I gotten, let's just say the 3200 or the 3150. Let's say 3150. Here it is yesterday here from 35 all the way to 52. Let's just go to it. Let me see what the 3100 would look like. That would have been from 18 all the way up to 29. So that's another nice 10 points. I mean, even if I didn't get to this point, anywhere along here is a nice profitable. Yeah, I probably would have, gotten stopped out at this point. But getting it from right here, 18 to 25, that's 7 points. And of course, they got that huge continue. That must be from, no, this is where, yeah, this is where they got that Trump news. So let's see what happened. Let's say, so this goes up. No, yeah, right here, this bleep right here. I don't know what the heck that was, but that caused us imbalance. And then probably would have missed out of that. But here is where I made the mistake. At this price level, okay, at this price level, so this is a trend down. And I say, well, it's a trend down. However, once you get to price target, and I mean, I know this and I keep forgetting. Once you get to price target, you cannot assume the trend is going to be down any longer. I mean, yes, it's a trend down, but it's also the afternoon. So I got additional notes in the afternoon. I need to play with 15-minute candle afternoon. Because if you look at this, at this point, the price target has been reached, and so the trend is now no longer the trend is no longer a downtrend at this point. Once the price target is reached at 61.8, the trend is rather up, if you can say. So I lost all this guy right here because I was trying to scalp, selling the calls for the downtrend in the stupid afternoon, losing 4,000. That's close to 1,000 to pretty much gain nothing when, I mean, had I played this right. And even if I didn't play it right, if I didn't lose this, that's 1,000 I could have had. So very disappointing yesterday, all because I carried over position, messed up my whole strategy. So I don't like to carry over position anymore. don't carry over on the high of the day close. So I'm not gonna carry over anything at the high of the day because yeah, I'm playing for the gap up, but bad news, and then that messed up my whole strategy. Of course, you got this Trump announcement, and so that Trump announcement, I mean, that's just messed everything up. Should have stopped me out, but I continue to hold that position because I was just, yeah, I don't know why. I just didn't want to. I just said, fuck it. I'm just gonna hold the position. And of course, today, well, guess what? A gap up. Now, this wasn't a big gap up, but she's, I don't know. I mean, I still wanted to get this gap up right here is not a big gap up. However, I still wanted to think that it was big enough to play, um, essentially to play the reversal on a big gap up. So what I said was, okay, this is a big gap up. I don't know if this is a big gap up, but it's also at the 61.8 level. So yeah, I played the reversal. So I played the reversal on this bounce to this level. And the mistake I made was that I didn't really at this point I should have just stopped myself out when it really just penetrated the 100. But I could have just, on this little reversal right here, I could have gotten out close to even, and I was just hoping that it would go back down. Stupid play because I know, I mean, with the news of what happened, this gap, and yeah. I mean, funny enough, every time I play it correctly, man, I don't know if this is a big gap up, but it was a price level. This is a price level, so I was expecting it to go down, and of course it didn't go down, and that's why I say they always do the opposite of what I think is the most obvious. Now, had it been a bigger gap up, maybe had they gap it up to this level, but they wouldn't have gapped it up to this level because this is the price target. So this is the price target. This is 100. That's 30. That's a 30 point. I guess that's a consider a big gap up. So yeah, I probably played it correctly, but I should have just. I mean, at this point where I saw this and then a reversal, I should have just gotten out even. I mean, there's no point of trying to hope for that. So that pretty much messed up. I mean, that was the loss I took today for 4,460. Shouldn't have lost that. But then the day became very difficult because I mean, yes, it's an upward trend. But I mean, they try to push it, and it looks like a push. It looked like the push. But so this month of October, they can't really do a push. I mean, yeah, okay. So they try to break out of this level, and then it failed, and went all the way down past VWAP. Let me take a look at this guy. So it went all the way down past VWAP, went all the way down to here. No technical level really, but what you know is like, you knew the trend was going to be up because, like I said, it is a big gap up. And I mean, even if it's not a big gap up, this huge push right here, this pretty much indicated the trend was going to be up for the day. Um, even though you got this reversal, you can have to assume that this reversal is going to have a bounce. And yes, it didn't get to 61.8 price target, but it's not always perfect. Um, and I did miss out on all this bounce. Well, I don't know if I missed out a lot, but and this is this weird tick on I forget what the news was, but something triggered this feed all the way down to here. And look at this, they just push it, and it's just weird. I mean, it's funny how the signature now is. I mean, it seems like they can't push it in the morning, but then in the afternoon, it almost seems like if you look at that, it seems like almost the afternoon there's always a a more defined. They're able to get control in the afternoon for whatever reason. And so they're able to control it, and this is where a lot of the opportunities now is being done in the afternoon, and that's the way to play for October. And look at that. Even here, you can see in the afternoon somewhere here, they get control of it, and then they just push it. And here, likewise, in the afternoon, is this the yeah? This is the second month of the second day of October here in the afternoon. They get control of it, and they continue to push it on the 15-minute. So the month of October has a different signature, or different setup behavior than the previous months, and this is always the case. You got the push of August, and then the volatility of September, and now this October is a more of a afternoon kind of control, trend line, level to level price target kind of thing. So I wanted to hold a position for a gap up tomorrow because I'm expecting a target of 50, but you know what? It's not worth it, only because Trump can announce any bad news about negotiation, or there's anything that can happen overnight, as far as the stimulus bill and bad, because I mean, yeah, this right here was a destined to be a gap up, and then all of a sudden it's a gap down. So most likely the second time it revisit is gonna gap up to 50, where the price target is. But you know what? I'm just not. I just don't want to risk it because, yeah, it can happen where they just announced something about the stimulus being stalled or some other bad news. Or anything can happen. I mean, what I'm hoping for is a minor, no bad news tomorrow, and then a minor gap down. A minor gap down is just a trap for the shorts, and that's what I'm hoping for. Something in this case would be a minor gap down anywhere here. Um, I'll probably just buy it because I don't know if it's gonna try to flush it out. Most likely, even if it flush it out, I can buy another set of lot. So if I'm lucky, now I'm never lucky. They probably just gonna gap it up to this level and make it difficult. But you know what? If I'm just lucky, they do gap it down for whatever to this level. This is what I'm hoping for tomorrow. And I am no doubt gonna play this position if there's a small gap down. Probably buy some calls, sell some long dated puts. Be a little bit more aggressive because I did miss out on this easy play. This is the easy play I missed out. Could have made quite a bit if I went heavy. Instead, I made absolutely nothing. Today was, of course, more difficult, because of the way it behaved. But because most of the movement in the morning was difficult to play because this isn't a defined level. Had it gotten down to 61.8, maybe there'd be a better level. But yeah, I mean, especially what happened yesterday. This also kind of brings seed yourself to, the shorts having control. So at any point, you can't just assume it's gonna continue to go. But now the longs are completely back in control. You can look at this. Yeah, so this definitely a price target up here, to 32.12, and the weekly. Of course, the weekly looked very positive. Look at this tail hitting right at the support on the 5-week moving average. So if you're lucky, it's gonna land here at the 50. May even go all the way to 38.2 for the week. I mean, that is a possibility. If it doesn't happen this week, it's definitely gonna happen next week. I just don't see how it's just gonna reverse, unless, of course, you got stalling of the stimulus bill, which potentially could happen. But that's my Amazon play. Anything other than, yeah. So, uh, not making the gains I want. But the new strategy is working. Definitely, the new strategy is working. As long as I'm able to understand the trend. Even when the trend hasn't been established, you can, define this trend with a big gap. You can say that's the trend for the day, and just don't make any the push and the flush. That these are probably gonna happen in the afternoon. And it's not gonna be a huge push or a huge flush, but it's gonna be more of a gradual push, a gradual flush. The afternoon is kind of just being taken over and just going one direction, either an up direction, which would be the push, or a down direction, which would be a flush. Probably not technically call it a push or flush, but it'll be a trending up, trending down kind of scenario for the afternoon. Looking at some position for the day. Of course, Tesla looking strong. Um, so yeah, Tesla is still looking strong. Support on the 20-day moving average right here. That's the support on the 20-day moving average. Now it's at the 5-day moving average, and the weekly is looking strong. So there is nothing right now that suggests that this is. Let me see if I can get that again. There is nothing right now that suggests Tesla is having technically it is bullish. So let's take a look at some of the other one. Roku very strong. Uh, yeah, I'm gonna not sort by this. And I'm gonna say I got Lily, so yeah, Lily in my 401k bounce off of the here you see it bounce off of the 50-week moving average, so that's a nice level, so that's a nice play. What else is a good one? Let's say TTD is always, yeah, this one continue to fly. Bought some AMD. This is looking good. Roku, of course, continue to fly. Costco, Domino Pizza. I think they got earnings coming up. Uh, Geez, don't forget. I don't remember when. Let me see. Yeah, nothing else. Oh, let me look at Apple real quick. Apple. So Apple is looking weak. I can't say it's a good investment. And the other one I want is Nvidia. This thing just continues to run, so it's hard to play Nvidia. Yeah, it's just too expensive. Shorting opportunity. Let me see if there's anything on Zoom. Still wiggling around. I don't know if the shorts are gonna get control of this right now. Snow. Is this a yeah? This is no longer a buying opportunity. Big C. Uh, Again, this might be this. Yeah, I don't know if this is a buying opportunity anymore. Um, Mastercard. Yeah. So, oh yeah, I did get some Adobe today. Yeah, nice getting Adobe. This looks like it's gonna go to 500. Yeah, look at that. This looks good. This definitely, yep, definitely Adobe. So that was a nice play. I'm still holding a lot of position in my swings. Of course, any bad news is gonna derail it, but you know what? The swings, you just gotta have to hold it for a little bit longer, and it's a 401k, so the market is still looking, yeah, there's no weakness in this market. SPY is strong, DIA is strong, IWM, IBB, retail, there's no yeah, financial, there's no weakness right now. There's nothing to suggest um, this is all strength to me. This looks all strong. There's nothing weak to say on any of the, even on the daily does not look weak. Looks like it's gonna continue to go up. Now, of course, news on the stimulus might derail it, and that's a good possibility because you saw yesterday what happened. Like, boom. Yeah. So any any failed negotiation on the stimulus, and that's still a good possibility. I mean, who knows, right? I mean, but even if it's probably a buying opportunity because I think they're gonna get it done. And even if they don't get it done, that's just I would say just a minor retracement back to, at worst case, it would just get back to the 5 week moving average. And if I don't get able to get out of my swing trade, I just hold on to it. But the day trade, I should be able to profit either way as long as I don't hold position overnight. Because this one, I mean, I'm setting contingency price targets so that any bad news, boom, any of these flush down, it'll hit my price target on a contingency, and I will be able to buy the put. So that's what I have now. So these are my strategies I'm implementing. Looks like it's working pretty well in October, and I'm planning to go a little bit bigger on nice setups that may present itself this week or the next few weeks.